This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Spanish, no? English. Good evening. Rabbi Glatstein is with us, as many of you may know. He's a great speaker, visiting from New York for Isaac's wedding, and he's going to share with us some words of Torah and Chizuk. Direct from Panama.
Good job. No, you're good. Okay, Mazal Tov. This is already my second time in Panama. I was here for the Achei Kala in Santa Clara, and Isaac has been in touch with me. He even came on one of our trips. Recently we were together in Poland by the kever of the Ramah on Lag BaOmer. So it's really an honor to be here, and I would like to bring to your attention and share with you an amazing perspective on chasuna, on a chatuna. Okay, I'm Ashkenazi. I know a little bit how to say this, the Havara Svardit. I'll give it my best shot. But I want to begin with a story. It's the second night of Pesach, okay? So they're starting Sfirat HaOmer. And Rav Tzvi Hersh Halevi Horowitz, a great rabbi, he turns to his two little boys. His two boys, their names were Shmuel Shmelka and Pinchas. Shmuel Shmelka would later become the Rebbe, Reb Shmelka of Nikolsburg. Actually, you could ask Isaac, we were just together.
You came to Panama, I think, no?
I came to Panama. Isaac came to Panama. Reb Shmuel Shmelka of Nikolsburg never came to Panama.
You were the survivor of
No, he was like 200 years ago, before they invented Panama. You know? Yeah. Shmuel Shmelka of Nikolsburg, he's known as the Rebbe of Shmelka. Okay. But right now he's a little boy, and the father said, boys, we have 49 days till Shavuot. Which Mesechet should we begin to learn? So, the Rav Shmuel Shmelka says, Shavuot is coming, we should learn Mesechet Shavuot. So the father said, I hate to break it to you, but Mesechet Shavuot is not about the Yom Tov of Shavuot, it's about oaths, swearing. Even though it sounds the same. So, the boy said, no, I know that. I know Shavuot is about oaths, swearing. But the Gemara teaches us that at Har Sinai, we took a Shavuah that we would keep the Torah. Mushba ve'omed me Har Sinai. So we need, in preparation for the oath that we took at Har Sinai, we have to learn what an oath is. Secondly, Mesechet Shavuot has 49 pages. So if we learn a blot a day, by the time Shavuot comes, we'll finish the Mesechet. Fine. Next year, the father asked the kids, okay, Shavuot is coming, which Mesechet should we learn? So the little boy, Pinchas, who would later become the Hafla, or he's known as the Hamakneh, he's the Rebbe of Chatam Sofer. I had the zchut to be at his kever in Frankfurt, okay? Hafla, Reb Pinchas Halevi Horowitz. He said, Shavuot is coming, we should learn two Mesechet. Which two Mesechet? Kiddushin and Ketubot. Kiddushin and Ketubot, what does it have to do with Har Sinai? He says, because we know that when God gave the Torah to the Jewish people, He didn't just give us the Torah, He married us. He married the Jewish people with chuppah v'kiddushin. So we need to learn, what is kiddushin? What are our responsibilities to our husband? What is God's responsibility to us? The Torah is like a ketubah. And therefore we should learn ketubot and kiddushin. What we're going to study tonight is how Kabbalat HaTorah was not God coming and saying, okay, do this, don't do this. It was a marriage. It was a kiddushin. It was a chuppah. And in fact, all the minhagim and halachot of marriage and of chatuna, all the minhagim, we learn out from Kabbalat HaTorah. Okay? So let's begin. Rashi tells us on the pasuk in Parshat Yitro, Vayotze Moshe et ha'am likrat ha'alekim. Moshe brought the people toward God. So Rashi says, Likrat shahashchina yatsa likratam kechatan hayotze likrat kala. Now, in New York, by the Ashkenazim, I don't think we really do it right, but by the Sfardim, they know how to do it. The Chatan gets out of his place and he goes to greet the Kala, right? He steps, here you have a nice stage. It's very nice chatunot in Panama. In America, by chatunah, everyone's on the phone. Because in New York, you have 4 weddings every night. So you go, you show your face, oh, he saw me, and then you go to the next chasana, okay? In Panama, it's more festive, everyone's happy to be there. It says that God went out toward the Jewish people like a chatan hayotze lekrat kala. Now, it's very interesting. There's a halacha, if you redeem a captive woman, you can't marry her right away, you have to wait 3 months. It's called havchana. Because if she was violated in captivity, you need to know who the father is. So you have to wait 3 months. That's why, when did God marry us? Ba'chodesh hashlishi, in the 3rd month. He waited till the 3rd month to follow the halacha that when you redeem a captive, you have to wait 3 months till you marry. Now, when you marry a woman, you have to make kinyan before nisuin, before the consummation of the marriage, before you seal the deal. What?
50 days.
So that's why the emphasis is on ba'chodesh hashlishi. You're right, but it's not exactly. You cut corners a little bit, Okay. When you marry a woman, very good. Okay. When you marry a woman, before the nisuin and the chuppah, you have to make kinyan. What are the options? Ha'isha niknit b'shlosha drachim, b'kesef, b'shtar, u'b'biyah. When God married the Jewish people, He says, "Ve'erastich li le'olam, ve'erastich li b'tzedek, u'v'mishpat, u'v'chesed, u'v'rachmim, ve'erastich li be'emunah, v'yadat." He married us all 3 ways. Kesef, He gave us the booty, the spoils of Mitzrayim. Bizat hayam, that's kesef. Shtar, the luchot, the Torah. Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha al tikri morasha ela meorasa. And bibiyah, Hashem says va'avo elai. The pasuk says va'avoy eleha. Va'avoy is numerically valued as bibiyah. Okay, bibiyah. Now, it's very interesting. Now, right now you think that when God marries the Jewish people, it's just an allegory. You know what allegory means? It's a mashal. It's symbolic. What we're going to learn tonight is that it was a halachic wedding, Kedat Moshe v'Yisrael, and it's subject to all the guidelines of the halachot. Okay, but this is not like a fluffy share. This is you have to put on your thinking caps. Okay, this is a very lumdisha topic. I want to share with you the Rabbi Pinchas Horowitz wrote a sefer on Masechet Kiddushin called Sefer HaMakneh. Sefer HaMakneh is one of the most sophisticated Sfarim on Hilchot Kiddushin, and in his introduction he explains how God's marrying the Jewish people was subject to all the halachot of Kiddushin. So he begins by analyzing the following subject. What was the kesef with which God used to marry the Jewish people? So he says there are 2 options. There's a machloket. One opinion, the Baal HaTurim says, the Bizat Mitzrayim, the spoils we took out of Egypt, God used that money, Hareyat Mekudeshet Li, that was the kesef that God used to marry the Jewish people. Another opinion, says the Hamakneh, is the luchot. Luchot were made out of a precious stone, San Perinon. The luchot was the kesef with which God used to marry the Jewish people. Says the Hamakneh, I'll bring you a proof that it was the luchot and not the Bizat Mitzrayim. What's the proof? So Moshe comes down from Har Sinai, and he sees the Jewish people. What are we doing when Moshe comes down from Har Sinai? We're serving the Egel. Serving the Egel was like adultery at the chuppah. The Gemara says, "Aluva kala shezinta tachar hachuppah." Right? How despicable it is for the kala at the chuppah. Hey, where's the kala? She stepped out for a moment. Luva kala shezinta tachar hachuppah. So what did Moshe Rabbeinu do to the luchot? He took the luchot and he smashed the luchot. What did God say to Moshe for breaking luchos? Asher shibarta shkoyach. You know what shkoyach means, right? Yasher kochacha sheshibarta. Why? Why shkoyach? You made them kepinuya shezinta velo ke'eshetish. You made the Jewish people like a single woman who was mezaneh, not like a married woman. Why? Because by breaking the luchot, you made it that we were never married to God. So when we served the Egel, we did it so as a single woman, not as a married woman. So says the Hamakneh, Says Reb Pinchas Horowitz, that proves that the Kiddushin was the Luchot, but not the Bizat Mitzrayim. Because if we were already married through the Bizat Mitzrayim, what good would breaking the Luchot do? We already married. Breaking Luchot won't nullify the marriage. So it must be breaking the Luchot was the marriage. The Kesef was the Luchot, not the Bizat Mitzrayim. You got that proof? Okay, fine. Says the Hamakne, not so fast. Okay? Who was the Chatan? Who's the Chatan here? Not at this wedding. God. Who's the Kala? Am Yisrael. Did God give us the money? If the marriage is the Luchot, did God give us the Luchot? No, He gave it to Moshe. So what's Moshe's role? Moshe has to be Shliach. There are two kinds of Shluchim when it comes to marriage. There's Shliach leholacha, Shliach lekabbalah. You know the difference? Shliach leholacha is you give, a man says to a shliach, take this money, give it to Sarah. When the shliach gives it to Sarah, then and only then you're married. If the shliach doesn't give it to Sarah, you're not married. Shliach lekabbalah is the shliach is accepting it for Sarah. The moment the shliach gets it, he is koned for Sarah. Even if Sarah never sees the money, mikudeshet. Ask the Hamakna, what type of shliach was Moshe Rabbeinu? If Moshe Rabbeinu is the shliach lekabbalah, to accept the luchot, then it's not going to help to break the luchot. Why? Because the moment he receives the luchot, Klal Yisrael is mikudeshet, and if we serve the egel, it's too late. We're eishet it shemazaneh. So you have to say, Moshe Rabbeinu is what? Shliach lalacha. So ask the Hamakne, Shliach lalacha, why does Moshe have to break the luchot? Just don't give it! He doesn't have to break it. If Moshe Rabbeinu is a Shliach lalacha, and he sees the Jewish people are serving the egel, why does he have to break it? Don't give it! Yeah, whoever thinks this way, we don't think that Moshe is a lamdasha shliach to accept the kedushin. So the Hamakna asks, Miman nefshach. You know what Miman nefshach means? Either way you look at it, it doesn't fit. If Moshe shliach leholacha, he doesn't have to break it, don't give it. And if Moshe shliach lekabbalah, it's a fait accompli, it's too late. Okay, you ready for this chidush? It was worthwhile for me to fly down here. New York, New Jersey, Virginia, Georgia, Florida, Panama, Mexico, Panama, just to tell you this chidush. Says the Hamakneh, you know what the Kiddushin was? The Kiddushin was Bizat Mitzrayim. So you say, then how does it help to break the luchot they're already married? It's Kiddushin al Tanai. It's Kiddushin with a stipulation. The stipulation is, God gave us the money when we left Egypt on condition we accept the luchot. So what does Moshe Rabbeinu do? Moshe Rabbeinu is a big lamdan. Moshe Rabbeinu knows that when God gave the luchos to him, now that we're serving the egel, we're being mezana as eishet ish. So what does he do? He breaks the luchot. He nullifies the Tanai, the stipulation. Now the Kiddushin retroactively is nullified. We were never married in the first place. Yasher kochacha, asher shibarto, you made us like a pnuya and not like a shetish. Okay. By the way, this is just a little flavor. Okay, a little flavor. They only give me 30 minutes. I'll tell you another question. What if you hand money to a woman and you're sitting under the chuppah, and in America, by the chuppah, you have the 4 poles, and you have a canopy, and you have some flowers over here. You don't have the whole botanical gardens, Here in Panama, they have roses. I think it's the largest collection of roses I ever saw, yeah? They're very beautiful. And the man says to the woman, he's looking at her, and she's looking at him. And he takes out the ring, and Mesader Kedushin, Rabbi Perez, he asks the Chatan, it's worth Shavat Pruta, it's worth some? He says, yeah. And he puts the ring on her finger, and he doesn't say a word. And he's looking at her, and the photographers are taking pictures, they're snapping pictures, and the mother is beaming. Mekudeshet or Eina Mekudeshet? Eina Mekudeshet. Natan hu v'lo amar hu. You have to talk. So it's very nice God gave us money, but He never said Harayat Mekudeshet li. So you'll say, yeah, He did say. God said that when I take you out of Mitzrayim, He tells Moshe Rabbeinu that, listen, you're going to come to me, and the pasuk says, Alei Elai Hehara, come up to the mountain, Veheyei Sham, you'll be there, Ve'etzna lecha et luchot ha'evan. Meaning, God is saying, get ready. You're going to come up the mountain, and I'm going to give you the luchot. That's Amirah. Right? Because otherwise, if you don't have Amirah, there's no Kiddushin. You say, come on, that's not Amirah. Let's say a man says to a woman, Hare at mikudeshet li betabas sha'ani noten lecha be'arba'im yom. You need Amirah b'shat netina. You can't talk and then give it 40 days later. So the fact that God says, oh, come up to the mountain and I'm going to give you the luchot, and He gives the luchot 40 days later, that's not going to work. You need Amirah at the time of the netina. However, what would the halacha be if a man says to a woman, Hareya mikudeshet li, and then for 40 days straight, they're talking about marriage. Who's going to be the photographer? Who's going to be Mesader Kiddushin? Where are you getting the flowers from? Where are we gonna go for the Sheva Brachot? It's called Asukin Ba'oto Ha'inyan. You have Amirah and then Asukin Ba'oto Ha'inyan. There's an opinion that works. It bridges the gap between the Amirah and the Netina. So therefore, the pasuk says that after Moshe Rabbeinu got the luchot, Vayitein el Moshe kechaloto ledaber ito b'har Sinai. That God spoke to Moshe the Torah for 40 consecutive days, and then He gave us the luchot. So that perhaps bridges the gap between the original. Now, what's the halacha if you say to a woman, Hareat mikudeshet kedat Moshe v'Yisrael? Hareat mikudeshet. And he's sitting under the chuppah, and you have the photographer, and the rabbi, and the mother-in-law. Everyone's there. Mikudeshet or Eina Mikudeshet? Eina Mikudeshet. Why? Yadayim she'enan mochichot lo havidayim. Maybe he's a shliach to give the kedushin for somebody else. So God was very careful. He said, "Ve'erastich li be'emunah." God fulfills the halacha in order to say the word li. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Nisuin. Okay, we got the Kedushin. So it's, by the way, what's the Kedushin? Is it the Bizat Mitzrayim or is it the Luchot? Yes. Yes. Meaning, Bizat Mitzrayim, al Tanai, we accept the Luchot. That's why, it's very interesting. Imagine, you ever...
what's Moshe again? Holacha or Kabbalah? Because if it's Holacha, don't give it, why break it?
Moshe Rabbeinu is neither. Moshe Rabbeinu is just, it's Kiddushin, Almanat, that the Jewish people will accept the Luchot. So Moshe Rabbeinu is doing God a favor. He's bringing the Luchot to the Jewish people. So it comes out he's not Holacha and he's not Kabbalah. Okay. You know, you ever a rabbi come to fundraise? Yeah? Imagine the rabbi comes. Take out your wallet right now. Take it out. Open it up. Hand over your credit cards. You give or you don't, or you walk out. No, that's not going to work. You can't be so, fundraiser can't be so aggressive, right? When Aaron wanted to make the egel, he says, Lemi zahav, who has money? Hit paraku, take it off. Come on, that's how you get people to give money. First of all, what do you mean, who has money? They were all loaded. By the Nedavat HaMishkan, everybody gave very generously. What does Aaron mean? Who has money? That's like going to an Eskimo. Who has ice? You know, it's like, they all had money from the Bizat Mitzrayim. Aaron was saying like this, what's the halacha? If you marry a woman al tanai on a condition, let's say you say to a woman, I marry you on condition you make a good cholent. You eat cholent? A good cholent. And you taste the cholent.
No salt.
No tam, yeah? So it's not married. What happens to the ring? She has to give it back. You married her on condition. She didn't fulfill the condition. The kesef comes back. Aaron HaKohen says, who has money? You guys don't have any anymore. You know why? God only gave it to you on condition you accept the luchot. You didn't accept. You're serving the egel. Take it off. Doesn't belong to you anymore. That's why he says, hit paraku. Fine. Let's talk about the nesuin, okay? The chuppah. What's the chuppah? There are different opinions. Maharsha in Ketubot says the chuppah is yichud in the Mishkan. When we went to the Mishkan and God did yichud with us, that was the chuppah. However, the Hafla says the chuppah has to be kafa alehem har kegigit. Remember, when God gave us the Torah, He took the mountain and He suspended it over our heads like a barrel. So we think God was about to bury us. But He was also simultaneously marrying us b'chuppah. That was the chuppah. The mountain was the chuppah. Very interesting. Now, says the Hamakna, you have to say that the chuppah was kafa aleim har kegigit, and not later on the yichud in the Mishkan. Why? It says like this: when Moshe Rabbeinu comes down from Har Sinai, he sees us doing what? Serving egel. What was that considered? Zinut. What did Moshe Rabbeinu do to the egel? He burnt it. He ground it up. And what did he do with it? He made them drink it like? Very good. Like? Like, one second. Good question. One second. Good question. One second. So he gave us to drink like sota. Like a sota. A woman who just has kiddushin with no nesuin, is she a sota? She doesn't drink the sota waters. No. Only if she's nesuah. So it must be we were already in nesuah from kafa aleim har kegigit. Because otherwise Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't check us with the sota waters, because sota waters are not effective unless we're nesuah. But if we're just arusa, they won't work. So, what's your first name again? Eddie? Yisrael. Yisrael. Yisrael's asking, but wait a second. But we just said that Moshe Rabbeinu, the Kedushin was al Tanai, that we accept the Luchot. By serving the Egel, we're rejecting the Luchot. So Moshe Rabbeinu is nullifying the marriage retroactively. And if there's no Kedushin, there's no Nesuin. If there's no Nesuin, how can he drink the Sota waters? That's the Hamakna asks your question. Very good. I wasn't going to ask because it's too complicated to ask at a chasana. This is what they ask in yeshiva after 20 years. You sit there. Okay, good question. Yisrael, you want to hear what the Hamakna says? Even though Moshe Rabbeinu broke the Kiddushin, could you have chuppah without Kiddushin? No, because chuppah gomer, it finishes it, but it's not koner. But there's an opinion, Rav Huna holds chuppah is gomer and koner. It does everything. So even though Moshe retroactively nullified the Kiddushin, but when we stood under the mountain, that was chuppah and Kiddushin. So you say, we don't hold that way. We don't hold like Rav Huna. Why don't we hold like Rav Huna? Listen very carefully. Ready for this? This is like postgraduate lamdas. Okay? Rav Huna says, you ready for Kal V'chomer? Rav Huna says, Madach Kesef Shtar and Bia doesn't do chuppah, but it does do Kiddushin. Chuppah! That it does chuppah! Certainly it could do Kiddushin. Right? Basically Rav Huna says, if Kesef Shtar and Bia, which cannot do Nisuin, it could do Kiddushin, chuppah that could do Nisuin, it should certainly do Kiddushin. And the Gemara says that's wrong. You know why? Because Kesef Shtar and Bia, there are ways to do it Ba'al Karcha. Chuppah can never be Bal Karcha. So maybe only Kesef Shtar and Bia could do Kiddushin, because sometimes there's a way to do it against her will. But this kind of chuppah, you could do Bal Karchach. This kind of chuppah, everybody would agree could do both.
Only Yevama you can do Bal Karchach.
What?
Yevama is the one you can do Bal Karchach.
The what?
The Yevama is the one that has, you can do it Bal Karchach.
Oh, by Amma, yeah.
Yevama.
Oh, Yevama, can, okay.
Even have no intention.
Okay, I want to move on now. That was just a taste of the complexity of this Kiddushin. Fine. I want to ask you a very simple question. You know, we just heard the bracha. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam al ha'arayos va'asar lanu es ha'arusayos v'hitir lanu es hanusuos lanu al yidei chuppah v'kiddushin. Chuppah v'kiddushin? It's Shalom Keseder. It's out of order. It should be Al Yidei Kiddushin v'chuppah. No. So maybe you say it's out of order because the end of the bracha is Baruch atah Hashem Mekadesh Amo Yisrael Al Yidei Chuppah v'kiddushin. So since the end of the bracha is out of order, yeah, but why is the end of the bracha out of order? There's a very interesting sefer. It's called Sha'alos Utshuvot Beit Ephraim. Rabbi Ephraim Zalman Margolios. He was a contemporary of Chatam Sofer and the Hafla. He says when we say Baruch atah Hashem Mekadesh Amo Yisrael Al Yidei Chuppah v'kiddushin, it doesn't mean God sanctified the Jewish people through the institution of marriage. It means God married the Jewish people with chuppah and kiddushin. So did God do it out of order? You bet He did. He tried to give us Kiddushin. The Kiddushin was al Tanai, we accept the Luchot. Moshe Rabbeinu broke the Luchot, he nullified the Kiddushin. Then God does the Chuppah. And then God gave us Luchot Shniyot. So when God married us, He married us Shalom Keseder. So when we are at a Chasuna, we commemorate how God married the Jewish people. It was al Yidei Chuppah the Kiddushin.
The second Luchot
Second Luchot was Kiddushin. Second, yeah. Okay? It was Kiddushin. Yeah. So it turns out we were married to God backward. Okay? Now I want to move on just to conclude. We're going to learn now all the minhagei chatuna are learned out from Kabbalas HaTorah. You know, at the end of chatuna, they take the glass and they step on the glass and they break the glass. Why do we break the glass? So many people think because it's a big mitzvah to sing Shweki Ihim Lo Aleh. It's a nice song. It's a very nice song. That's not why we break a glass. You know why? Because we're at a chatuna. And at a chatuna, when you stand under the chuppah or you're in the audience, you're supposed to remember your wedding. Who you married to? To Hashem. And at that marriage, the Kiddushin didn't work out. Moshe broke the Luchot. So at every Chatuna, we remember that when we married God, it was Al Yidei Chuppah, the Kiddushin, but the first Kiddushin was broken. That's why we break the glass at the wedding. Now,
it would be like Mahazir Yerushalayim or something like that.
The what?
Mahazir Yerushalayim the second time.
You know the joke. The guy married his wife, he divorced her, and then he married her again. So wait, what are you doing? For a Zivik Sheni, she's pretty good. It's not Machzer Grushato, he never divorced us. What? It was Nispatel. It was Nispatel. Okay. I'll end with this, okay? The Rebbe of the Rosh was one of the three great Rishonim. His name was Maharam Mirotenberg. Maharam Mirotenberg was the leader of Ashkenazic Jewry, and he was incarcerated in prison. And they wanted to redeem him. They were demanding an exorbitant sum, and Maharam Mirotenberg paskin that they're now to redeem him because ein podim es hashvuyim yeter mikadei demeim. He wrote a sefer called. He had a student, Rabbeinu Shimshon. Rabbeinu Shimshon was allowed into the prison cell, and the Marami Rutenberg taught Rabbeinu Shimshon 590 halachot. It's called Sefer Tashbeitz. Tashbeitz. You should have it on your sheet. I want to share with you a few things that he says, and we'll end with this. It's in number 30, okay? Number 30 on your sheet. The Tashbeitz brings that we find in many places that God married the Jewish people when He gave us the Torah. By the way, he says something amazing. He says, Chatan al Kala is Gematria HaTorah. Lomar, Kal HaMesameach Chatan v'Kala Ki'ilu Asak b'Torah. You hear this? Chatan, there's a Rishon. Chatan al Kala. It's in the second paragraph toward the end. Number 30. Chatan al Kala is Gematria HaTorah. Lomar, Kol HaMesameach Chatan v'Kala Ki'ilu Asak b'Torah. Now, what's the first thing the Chatan says to the Kala? What's the first word? Hare. Hare begins with which letter? Hey. Keneged Chamisha Chumshei Torah. The first letter of the Ketubah. Be'achad b'Shabbat. B'Sheni Beis. Why? Bereshit bara Elokim. How many brachot do we make at a Chatuna? 7. By the way, I want to tell you a big chidush. I'm a big fan of Reb Chaim Falaji. Ever hear Reb Chaim Falaji? Okay. What Parsha do we read right after Kabbalat HaTorah? Naso. So think about it. You know, all the Sephardic rabbis, they say the Shabbat before Shavuot is called Shabbat Kala. So what would the Shabbat after Shavuot be called? Shabbat Sheva Brachot. So no, where are our Sheva Brachot? Says Reb Chaim Falaji, that's why right after Shavuot, Yevarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Hashem panav elecha v'chuneka. Yisa Hashem panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Say, and who? What's bracha achrita? V'samu eshemi al bnei Yisrael v'ani avarchim Sheva Brachot. Birchat Kohanim is the Sheva Brachot for the Chatuna between God and the Jewish people. Furthermore, we have Sheva Brachot keneged the Zayin Kolot Bahar Sinai. Kol Hashem al Amoyim. Kol Hashem be'koach. Kol Hashem b'hadar. How many times is God's name mentioned in Sheva Brachot? 14. Keneged, the 14 times His name is mentioned in Aseret HaDebrot. How many days between Yetziat Mitzrayim and Shavuot? 50 days. How much money do you give the lady at the Chatuna? 50 shekalim. 200 zuz. 50 shekalim. Why does Chatan v'Kala fast before their wedding? Says the Marami Rothenberg, because at Kabbalat HaTorah, the Jewish people fasted. This is the source of fasting before Chatuna. We have no other makar. We have no other source. They fasted before the Torah was given, therefore we fast. Why? You know, by the Hasidim, they walk down the aisle with torches. Maybe it's not practically, maybe it's not safe, you know, maybe it's not a great... Why with torches? Because with Kabbalat HaTorah, it was mitoch ha'esh. Mitoch ha'esh. I want to read to you the following words. If you take a look, the final words in number 30. Nikot hai klala biyadcha. Kol haminhagim shel chatan v'shel kala anu lemeidin mimatan Torah. Shehashem haya mareh atzmo kechatan neged kala shehem Yisrael. So, when you go to a Chatuna, it's supposed to stir your mind to think a little bit about your Chasana. Every Shabbat, we relive the Chasana. Friday night, Ata Kidashta is the Kiddushin. Shabbos morning, Yismach Moshe, Simchat Chatan V'Kala. Musaf, this is from Rishonim. Musaf, if you love your wife, you don't just give her 200 zuz. You give her Tosefet Ketubah. Musaf. And then after that, Yichud Mincha Ata Echad V'Shimcha Echad U'Mika Amcha Yisrael Goy Echad Ba'aretz. So every Chatuna we remind ourselves how God marries the Jewish people. Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadesh Amo Yisrael Al Yedei Chupa B'Kiddushin. Mazel tov, mazel tov. Thank you very much. Very good.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.